And in Tibet, the Lord gave us one goal so far. Our sister there took it. Dalai Lama and Tibetan Buddhism has influenced 1 billion of Buddhists all over the world, and even more, 1 billion those who haven't heard about Christ, 1 billion of Buddhists. And this place is called the roof of the world, is the highest place where there is this political influence and also religious and spiritual. It comes from this Patala. And here is this monk to whom I preached the gospel the very first time I visited Tibet. He has this callosity on his forehead. I came there first time and preached the gospel to him. The Lord gave us this goal in Tibet from the roof of the world. Listen. You wanted to know it yesterday. Well, I said I would speak it out in the service. They planted Buddhism in the 4 nations of our country. On Altai, Buryatia, Tiva, and Kalmykia. 4 nations of our country are under influence of the Tibetan Buddhism that comes exactly from the roof of the world, and Dalai Lama himself controls this process, though he is not in Tibet himself. And our task, our goal, to make this roof of the world the place of a blessing, to send out arrows to these countries and set free those peoples, to pray through those peoples, those nations, peoples of Tibetan Buddhism in Russia, and this will be of authority out of the roof of the world, from where the springs of their religion came, and exactly from the place where it started, we will send the arrows. You know how the jet is flying and they send missiles after it, and they follow exactly that jet, the trajectory of the jet. This is the kind of arrows, the searching arrows we've got to send out and crush it into the tail. This is our goal. This is prophetic intercession of our 4 peoples from the roof of the world. Did you catch it? You've got to catch it prophetically. This is not your brains. You cannot make it up in your head. This is revelation. And my prayer now has changed. Now my prayer has the basis, the grounds. It turned out that there were Christian martyrs in Tibet, and I would never have come to this conclusion myself if it were not but for the revelation which were sent by the prophetic vessels from our church, from other places as well, that there is the blood of Christian martyrs in Tibet, and one of them is Sundar Singh, one of our apostles out of our cloud of witnesses. He was in India, and then he went on. He came to Europe and shook off the dust in Europe, saying that we worship Indian gods with more jealousy than you do in Europe, worshiping Christ. And he was an Indian Sikh. He didn't change his appearance. He would wear clothes and hair of the Sikh, and he was wash his clothes. He was fulfilling their commandments, and he didn't change. He remained a Sikh in order to preach, to be able to preach to Indians. They thought he was a Sikh, but he was a Christian apostle. And his last time, he went up into Tibet and never returned. He was a single man. He remained single. He was a very devoted man. And when he returned from Europe, he didn't want to come back there. It was dead Europe, he said. He was disappointed in Europe, and he shook off the dust, saying, I don't want to go there. You don't hear me. You don't hear what God is saying. You want me to say from God, to speak from God, but you won't listen, so I won't go back to you. And he went up to Tibet and he died there, and the Holy Spirit reminded us that since I didn't take it, but he reminded it, and right now we can pray and we have the right The blood of the martyrs gives us the right, and we can remind it to God and everybody that there is this saint's blood, the blood of the saint in Tibet. Do you hear that? And this is the thing that changes our intercession. We have the right for Tibet because this man out of our cloud of witnesses, because he's our mentor, we have made him our teacher, our mentor, and we have taken him as our teacher. And he gave his blood in Tibet, and we have the right for Tibet. He's lying there with his bones, and he's our spiritual father. He's one of our mentors, our teachers. And right now I have the right to continue his work, to continue his way. And this is the certificate that gives us the access. I haven't heard this ever. But for the revelation of the Holy Spirit, I would not come to this. Can you imagine? That's it. We are different. And our fellowship with Tibet is different. And I even wrote this prayer in the white verse, and I was just leaving Tibet with a hard heart, as if they were tearing me off from it. And I had to wake up, and I wrote this to my friend Tibet.